Welcome. I'm your host, Dustin. Today, I'm flying solo. We had some technical difficulties um, throughout two recordings for our review of All Jacked Up and Full of Worms for ScreamBox. So, I'm doing it solo because Dean's been having some difficulties. So, just bear with us for this one episode. It's going to be a solo performance. But you know what? That's okay because this movie, holy shit, guys. Before we get into any kind of spoilers or anything like that, I just want everybody to know that you're in for a ride if you're gonna watch All Jacked Up and Full Worm on ScreamBox. As always, we always give them a huge shout out and thank you for giving us the screeners and letting us, go forward and promote as much as we can for their amazing service because I've been loyal to to Shudder for a long time since it came out. Um, and Screambox is starting to kind of take over as my new favorite platform to watch horror. I still watch Shudder, and even the folks over at Screambox they watch Shudder, and we all support that. And it's something that I've been repeating a lot and kind of championing is that competition is a good thing. So having Shudder Screambox, kind of going head to head as to who can pull the craziest, the most out there films first, is really really fun to watch and to see what both platforms can do and what they can pull from each other and also support each other in the same way. For those of you who don't know, Screambox is pretty much the child of Bloody Disgusting. They kind of went in and devised this platform that has been around a lot longer, but it's now kind of like reforming and restructuring and bringing us these banger hits like All Jacked Up and Full of Worms. We got Terrifier 2 on there as well as Terrifier. You have When the Screaming Starts, which is an amazing mockumentary style horror film that we did a review on. You got Pussy Cake on there. That's phenomenal. There's a lot of really really good titles on there, and they also have they brought back an pretty much remastered and I think unedited version of Satan's Little Helper, which is really really fun to watch. And there's a lot of really cool things coming along the way too, that I'm really really excited for. And I was really excited for this one, All Jacked Up and Full of Worms, because they kept saying how freaking crazy it is. And yeah, this is a really crazy film. Like I said, I'm not gonna go into spoilers right now. This is also gonna be a pretty short review, just because I really want to get this out and get everybody, on board of going to Screenbox, giving it a chance. I think right now, if you sign up for, I think it's a 3-month plan, you get 7 days of free trial or something like that. I'll put all the information down below. You guys can be correct on the information. I'm not giving you false info. But they're so great over there. And being kind of friends with Alex now, who runs pretty much all the socials there, and I have to give a huge thanks to Brendan Hill for doing all his acquisitions for Screenbox, because we wouldn't have movies like All Jacked Up and Full of Worms if it wasn't for Brandon. And then obviously the whole team behind it, constructing this platform and the app, and there's a lot of things that they're working on right now to bring it to wider audience. Right now it's just it's an app, but you can also get it through I think Amazon. You can get it through iTunes. You can buy some of the stuff through there, or you can just download it on iOS or Google, or even go to their website that's completely redesigned, and the app is redesigned too. It's really really cool, and I just love the whole interface of their sites and apps and everything. So user friendly and so easy to navigate. It lets you know like, oh, these are our picks, or these are the ones that are exclusive to Screenbox and whatnot. So there's a lot of really cool video and visual cues to let you know like what's what on Screenbox. But yeah, it's great. So if you guys don't have Screenbox, it's $4.99 a month. It's $1 cheaper than Shudder. But I don't want anybody to go and drop their subscriptions to Shudder because they're doing a lot of really cool stuff over there too. But we always like to kind of just give our thanks to Screenbox and having, or for them letting us do this kind of stuff for them and talk about their films. It's fun as hell, and I'm so happy to be a horror fan right now. And I know Dean too. He's super happy seeing all this crazy stuff that's going on. It's actually kind of getting to the point where it's a little overwhelming for the both of us, because they're like, man, we gotta be super picky and choosy with what we want to do and what we want to record and review. Anything that ScreamBox sends us, don't worry, we're gonna be covering it. That's gonna be without a doubt. ScreamBox are amazing, and we're really trying to, please them as much as possible, because we want this friendship to keep going, because they're so awesome over there. So please go give ScreamBox some love and affection. All the links will be down below. You can go to their website, get their app or anything, and I'll even put the socials down below so you guys can be aware and alert of their next drops. But let's talk about All Jacked Up and Full of Worms. Okay, this movie is nuts. There's a lot of topical stuff that goes on in this film. It's also kind of like, what did I just watch? I had to watch this movie twice to figure out what the hell I just watched, because of how trippy and kind of absurd some things are, and how there's a story, but the story goes in so many different directions, and you kind of get lost, like you're taking these hallucinogenic worms. So it really makes your head kind of spin, but in a good way. There are some things in this that I'm just like, I don't know how I feel about that, but hey, this film has a lot going on in it, so at first you might be overwhelmed like I was, and even Dean, he was just like, dude, this movie is crazy. It is so ridiculous, and there's so many things that happen that you're just like, did I really just witness that? Yes. So I just want to take a couple of minutes to kind of just go over my thoughts for this film, and also kind of give you some of the ones that Dean was saying, so that way I can give his point as well. So this film, it kind of starts off right away. It starts off with like a screen, and you are hearing this guy talk about these worms and how he like died or whatever. So you're already kind of thrown into this, like, okay, I'm going in this, and it's going to be a ride. It's going to be crazy, but I'm ready for it. And then you start, following Roscoe and some other people that are in here, and you realize that in this, I guess you can say, universe, like, there's no authority, really, with the way that this is. It doesn't seem like there's really any authority until about, like, the end. So these people are just kind of going on and living their lives, and then going down this rabbit hole with these worms, and you're just like, what the fuck is gonna happen? Because every time something happens, it gets worse and worse and worse, especially at the end, when the special effects for this film really shine through, and you're just like, even like right then at the very end, when something happens, you're just like, what the fuck did I just watch? But at the same time, it's a good thing. I like watching movies that are making you think, or have you go and rewatch it again and try to figure out these little points and whatnot, because you're like, okay, I need to really rewind and make sure what I saw is real, like that was actually part of the film. So there's a lot of that happens in this, but that's a good thing. I like when that happens. So I guess my final thoughts on this one, before I start jumping into some spoiler points, is watch it. You need to watch this, so you can understand why I'm saying this is crazy. But if I have to give it a score right now, I would have to probably give it probably like a 7 out of 10. But that's not a bad thing. I think that's good. This was a very avant-garde film. And that's good. I like seeing things like at festivals that are really trying to push boundaries and make you think and be like, what the hell? So I think a 7 out of 10 for an avant-garde, like pushing boundaries and not really being 100% as to what the hell I just watched, that's a good thing. That's another reason why I like to try to push the festival circuits for people who want to go find crazy things. Because even like way back when we were talking to Kay from Salem Horror Fest, she's 100% right that if you want to see some batshit fucked up films, you need to go to film festivals, because not everything's going to make it to a service like ScreamBox or Shutter. I mean, yeah, some of them kind of go through. Like All Jacked Up and Full of Worms, this is one that I never thought I would see on a streaming service or anything like that. And that's another reason why horror is so fucking awesome, guys. If you don't watch horror, I say you just need to put a little bit in there. Just add a little bit of horror in your rotation, because it will spice things up a lot. And you watch this movie and be like, wow, I really like that. But this isn't like a horror film in a sense of like monsters and like weird like supernatural stuff. This is more of somebody going through a drug addiction and like a almost like toxic relationship, but not really. And it's like an open relationship, but not really. And then seeing these other people who have this weird view on life, and then they start taking these worms and they all come together, and then it kind of, they get bit at the end, really, with the people that they kind of fall in with. So it's kind of like watching somebody go through a lifestyle of using drugs and trying to push the boundaries and feel as good as possible. So that's what this film really is about. And on the surface level, well, actually, no, it's kind of like more deep down. You really have to think about it. But that's okay. That's a good thing. I like movies that make me think as well. But let's actually jump into All Jacked Up and Full of Worms. I'm going to pick a couple of scenes and talk about them. I'm not going to go through the whole thing because I don't want to do too many spoilers, because this movie did just come out. I want everybody to go watch it themselves and then come back and let us know if you had the same thoughts. So I guess one of the scenes I really want to talk about, this is very early on in the film. It's probably the first like 15. By the way, this movie is only like an hour and 11 minutes. It's very short. And it didn't need to be any longer. It probably could have been a little shorter, but that's okay, because you need like the full context and seeing these people go through this quote unquote addiction. So the first thing I want to talk about is we meet this character Benny, and he receives a package at his door. And he's talking to the delivery guy, and he's like, "My baby's in there." I think I actually have a quote here. He says, "Yeah, I'm gonna be a dad. My baby is in that box." And the guy just looks at him like, "Oh, okay." So you're thinking to yourself, what is he talking about? Like, what kind of baby are you talking about? You think maybe it's just like one of those, once you go like to Target and it's like the ones that like pee, you have to clean them up or whatever. But then we find out that he actually made a mistake. This is another thing, we start to find out that Benny's not all that smart. He trying to do good, but he keeps messing up, and he's trying to like put himself on a path and stick on that and give himself some goals in his life. So we find out that this this baby is a youth pleasure doll. That's exactly what you think it is when I say that. A youth series pleasure doll. And when you see this thing, when he takes out the instructions and he's reading through it, you're like, what the fuck am I watching? You see the doll, and its mouth is wide open. It's a little baby. It's like this big, and it's telling you how to clean it, how to properly use it. Like, they have actual instructions on this thing. I know, I really hope this isn't like a real thing in real life. I don't think it would be. But then again, there's a lot of really gross people out there. But it's awful when you see it. And then also his dialogue with it is like, "I'm gonna be a daddy, but I gotta find you a mummy." So he's going out there to try to find a girl. So he He walks to just this prostitute, which there's a guy in the window who's from the beginning of the film. He's like in the video. Um, so he's watching over her, and we find out later that her and him are connected. So Benny goes back to the motel, and we cut to a scene where they're trying to have sex, and he just doesn't feel right, so he stops it. And then the girl's talking to him, and like, you want to do some worms? He's like, what the fuck? So this is when the whole like worm part of the film starts to happen. So this is maybe like 20 minutes in. But as soon as the worms are introduced into this film, it's bonkers, man. It just goes forward and forward, and it rewinds a little bit, then it goes forward. So yeah, those are the scenes I wanted to talk about. First is the baby one and the introduction of the worms, and then I want to go and talk about Roscoe, who he is partnered with another girl, Sam, and then there's another guy that's with them, but I forget his name because I think it's only said like once in the film. But we get introduced to them by doing what Roscoe says, hippie shit. He doesn't want to do this hippie shit because his girl is very connected to what it seems like the energy and the earth, and doing a lot of psychological stuff. And that's why I think this other guy is there. You're not really 100% sure like what's going on. Are they friends? Is it an open relationship type thing? We're not 100% clear on that. But there's a part where Roscoe gets underneath this trance with Sam, and it's like a sexual healing type thing. Like they're not having sex, but it's like he's like transcending into another realm of existence to make him feel really well and good. So he comes out of it and he feels really really good. But then he goes to open up the sliding door because he's hot, and he says I'm hot, so I wanted to open it up. And so they tell him to close it, but he's like, no, we're so closed in here. Let me see if I have that quote here. Yeah, he says, I wish things were more open, because he feels so enclosed in the space that he's in with the three of them. That's why he opened up the door. And then we find out later on that Sam thought he was talking about opening up the relationship. So he's good. Then Roscoe starts going down this spiral of jealousy and not feeling in control and hurt. And then eventually Roscoe and Benny they meet in weird ways, and Roscoe comes across these other two people who are like fucking in an alley, which we follow them a little bit throughout the story as well, and then we find them at the end, where everybody is together. So those are the introductions to Benny and Roscoe. And there's a lot of crazy shit that happens in this film that I really don't want to go too much into detail with, because I want everybody to experience this. I feel like if I'm here talking about it to you, it's gonna ruin how your thinking is on these scenes or this film. So I really just want everybody to go out and watch this film. Like I said, I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10, maybe a 7.5. More the more I'm thinking about it, because of how thought and bulking it is, and just how out there this film gets and is off the bat. The effects in this are really, really good for the worms and everything else that kind of happens. It gets really trippy at the end, especially when they focus a lot more on this show called Echoes. Echoes of Angels is what it's called. That's played throughout the whole film, and they're talking about worms and how this guy discovered these worms, and how he thought some of them were, had lipstick on, or in bras, and were doing things to him. So he was, talking about how doing these worms, he was reaching another realm of reality. And that's what a lot of this movie feels like. It's like you're going to another realm of reality, that you're following this group of people, watching them do these worms drugs, and then they're essentially warping their reality, and you also feel like you're warping yours watching it because you're like, what the fuck? So I really do appreciate that on this film, and I appreciate ScreamBox for putting this out there and having people watch batshit crazy films like this. That's pretty much all I wanted to go through with All Jacked Up and Full of Worms. A lot of these reviews that we're doing with ScreamBox, we haven't really been going into a lot of detail with them, just for the fact that we want everybody to go and watch these films and support them and have your own fresh take. But eventually, once a lot of these films are out a little bit longer, we might revisit these and do a full breakdown, thought on scenes, and just, I don't know, go over everything again in greater detail. Like I said, this is going to be a shorter one because this movie did just come out, and I want everybody to go and watch it, and I want you guys to know how we feel about this. I think Dean would probably give this probably a 7, maybe a 6.5 out of 7 out of 10. Because he he was getting real lost in this one, and I think some of the stuff was just kind of going over his head, and a lot of it was going over my head too. I'm gonna have to rewatch it again on ScreamBox, so maybe some pieces can go together. But that's the beauty of this one, is like every time you watch it, you're gonna see something or pick up on something different. So please, if you're not subscribed to ScreamBox, please do so, because they are doing great work over there, and we want to keep doing content for you guys for ScreamBox and continue to, give love to other platforms instead of Shudder or Netflix or anything like that. ScreamBox, they're a baby company right now. They're a very baby streaming service, so we need to give them all the love that we can so they can bring more films like this and the other ones I said earlier on to their platform and keep that competition tight with Shudder, because, man, from some of the stuff that I was told that's going to be coming to ScreamBox and some items that are going to be coming to ScreamBox, I'm excited, and I want everyone else to be excited too. So support ScreamBox, check out their website, go on their app, download it. You can get a free trial, $1 cheaper than Shudder a month, and it's totally worth it with the amount of stuff they have on there. It's almost like every week, or even like half a week, they're putting out new content and having new things out there. And we will continue to support them and put that stuff out there. So please, if you see ScreamBox tweeting or sending anything out on Instagram, please let them know that you enjoy their stuff, and maybe let them know that you found them through us. So thank you guys so much for sticking with this very, 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 very short episode. We just really wanted to get this out and get it out there for everybody, so you guys know what you need to be watching right now. So yes, All Jacked Up and Full of Worms on ScreamBox right now. So hopefully by the time this is out today, you guys would have watched it maybe once or twice. So thank you guys so much for supporting us. Sorry for this very late review. Technical difficulties and all. Technology sometimes doesn't like us, especially when we're doing US to UK. Sometimes there's a little bit of a hiccup there, so we have to compromise and do the best we can. Thank you guys so much for listening, supporting us, and supporting ScreamBox. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. Stay spooky.